Preparing for 2026. What is it going to look like? And what am I doing to prepare? I think it's important to understand at a very deep level, especially if you're in the cryptocurrency industry. The game is absolutely changed. You have to play it completely different. I'll always be very transparent with you guys. Before I continue, do your own research. This is just my opinion, and I'm only sharing with you exactly what I do. Now, 2020 to 2022, I'll admit it. I was bought into the hopium, I was bought into the hype, and I got wrecked so many times. I was listening to hundreds of different people, jumping in and out of cryptos, trying to get pump and dumps, and I lost every single time. And then finally, during that transition, took a big six-figure loss. There's these things called yield farming. And I was like, I will never, ever F with my money again. And that's what I started to build: systems, discipline. I stopped listening to hype. I started following logic. I started studying history at a deep level, and I started to see very clear patterns. Study Ray Dalio's Changing World Order, understanding things like the fourth turning. Study 1920 to 1929, understand that economic cycle. Study Reaganomics, it's gonna be very familiar to Reaganomics. And when you study this stuff, it takes the emotion out of it. Because here's the truth, there's only interest in the system, that's it. You're either paying it or you're earning it. Take the emotion out of it. It's time to get real. You're either paying it or you're earning it. That's it, guys. There's no money in the system. Your money is not real. They pay you in someone else's debt. Income is different than cash flow. Warren Buffett has cash flow. He makes $1 million a day off Coca-Cola. Most Americans earn income. They get paid, and then they borrow against their future self. They save $1 that deflates every year. So you're saving $1 that becomes less valuable every year because of inflation, and you borrow against yourself, taking away from your future self because the interest payments and a liability that continues to devalue. What the wealthy do is they get income, and they turn it into cash flow, and they take the cash flow, they put it into assets that grow. When the assets grow, they profit, they take profits because they understand cycles. Warren Buffett doesn't freak out when there's $5 gas. He thinks, I need to make some changes with my investments. When you're wealthy, you're not interest rate or inflation sensitive. Remember, only 10% of the population owns most of the stock market. So when people are complaining that these elites collapse the stock market, it's the elites that are collapsing the elite. The only way to get out of this trap is to start taking your traded time income, start buying assets that beat inflation. When those assets beat inflation and you profit, you build protection and you build a system. Let me explain to you how I'm preparing for 2026. It's going to look different. We are going to head into an economy, low interest rate economy. Remember, Reagan came in during high inflation. He brought down rates really low. He deregulated, exactly the same thing Trump is doing. Businesses went viral, is that the right word? Businesses pumped. The markets pumped. Money was flowing like water. This happened in 1920 to 1929. So if everything pans out as Trump wants it to, tariff income's going to start coming in the first quarter. They're starting quantitative tightening December 1st, or they're stopping the quantitative tightening, which means they're going to start printing money. And they have to now, because Americans are buried. Remember, you're paying interest or you're earning it. But most Americans are paying interest. So if you don't have money to pay your interest, guess who doesn't make money? The banks, baby. So the feds are going to print a ton of money, lower interest rates, 50-year mortgage Trump just announced, and they're going to allow you to monetize a ton of debt. There's a whole nother mechanism happening. Trump wants to put $2,000 stimulus checks in your pocket. Money's going to be flowing like water. Stimulus checks are going to be flowing. Interest rates are going to come down. Inflation will start to cool for a momentary time. Housing market's going to boom. Stock market is going to continue to heat up and be overvalued. Key right there. Crypto's going to, we'll see what it does. It's going to start to go up. All markets will start to go up as the dollar gets devalued. But remember, what goes up must come down, my friend. Just like I warned you guys that a black swan was coming in 2025 wiped out 19 billion in crypto. That's why I don't believe in hyper, hopium, and chase price predictions. Have a plan. It's going to happen again, guys. Traditional finance is coming in, and they need some more black swans to have the right marketing. Watch. Institutional grade cussy. Come on in. It's safe over here. Insurance, FDIC insurance. Coinbase will become a bank. Kraken will become a bank. Ripple will become a bank. Circle will become a bank. JP Morgan become a a crypto bank. Wells Fargo become a crypto bank. DeFi and TradFi are going to merge. You're going to see the merging of DeFi. Huge banks like World Liberty Financial. Stable coins. Every single bank is going to have its own stable coin. You're going to be on an even playing field monetarily before you know it. As Trump said 7 years ago, he's worried about the debasement of currency. They're going to suck everything up into stable coins. The bond market is going to get stabilized through stable coins, which uses 90% bonds. They're going to use Bitcoin to shrink the balance sheet. America wants to buy 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the supply, and by 2045, as Cynthia Loomis says, they'll shrink the balance sheet in half. So we're going to have tons of income and probably a very bullish 2026. But remember, what goes up must come down. It always has an inversion. That's how life works. Everything cycles. That's why I pull profits. That's why I don't get greedy. I've learned my lesson. So it's not timing the market, it's time in the market, Warren Buffett. If you are invested and you have a massive emotional reactions and freak out, that means you're over leveraged in a certain asset class. You should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Number 2 is you should know to unequivocally what you're investing in. Because if you know what you're investing in, you believe in it, you won't panic sell. When the markets collapse, you buy more on the way down to bring your dollar cost average down. When the markets go parabolic, pull some off the table, at least get your initial investment out. And here's my warning to you guys. I warned you guys about this stuff in 1010, rocked a bunch of you guys. Stop listening to people that are telling you to just hold and leverage all your crypto. Leverage it, just live off leveraging. It's way too volatile right now, guys. Way too volatile. You shouldn't be leveraging on an asset that is extremely volatile. And if you do, you better do very low leverage because you're gonna get liquidated. There will be more black swans. So what I do is I follow my strategy, Capital DR. Income and cash flow are different. Income is what the American monetary system has trained us to do. We get paid income. Income comes in and you take your income and you buy debt. And you store your cash. So you store cash in your bank, it becomes less valuable every year. You borrow from your future self things that go down in value. So you have a thing that you borrowed that is making the bank richer. It's going down in value as your money in your bank account goes down in value. So you're paying the interest. What wealthy do is they take income and they create cash flow and they buy assets and they earn interest. So what I do is I take my income and I create cash flow, whether it's creating more businesses or scaling my businesses, putting money into cash generating dividends. When I make cash flow, I take the cash flow and I buy assets that beat inflation. I buy deflationary assets that have fixed supply. You can use gold, you can use silver, you figure it out, go do your research. I use XRP, I use Bitcoin. My top 2 holdings, fixed supply assets opposite of the inflationary US dollar. When I profit, we're gonna move Bitcoin off to the side. I do pull profits. I hold 50% just in case these hopium people are right. And I take 50% off the table and I fund my protection bucket. I insure some of my wealth. Nobody can touch it. I got a family bank and it creates leverage, the right kind of leverage. I can leverage against my insurance. I can't get liquidated. I leverage at 5%. I go buy Bitcoin at 50%. I beat the hurdle rate by 45% as my cash value is still compounding. That's richest men in Babylon. And listen to me, de-risk, de-risk, de-risk. When I'm in higher risk dividends that are paying large amount, I de-risk out every single time I get paid. When the markets go up, I de-risk to get some profits. And I don't listen to hype. I don't listen to hopium. I follow facts, figures, numbers, logic, discipline, and consistency. So 2026, I think, is going to be very, very bullish. But it's going to go like this. Boom, 2026, 2027. And then the next president's going to run on high inflation, middle class getting wiped out, people struggling. Separation is going to be massive. And the wealthy are going to get really wealthy. And the disparity and the wealth gap is going to be massive. So you can only be on one side. I'll leave you with this. You're either paying the debt, or you're paying interest, or you're earning it. That's it. There's no money in the system. You're paying it or you're earning it. Which side do you want to be on? Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. God bless you.